Just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. Exhale. Slow your breathing down and be still. This is a month, a season of change. The change of the seasons, moving from summer to fall and then winter, or winter to spring and then summer. So very little is actually still. So let's just breathe into the stillness of harmony. And as we do, just feel into the first few times you ever thought about being still, and what that initially meant to you, and how it may be different now. To the Buddha, being still meant being mindful and aware of each movement and aware of nothing all at the same time. So breathe in and breathe out very slowly. And as you do, breathe into your heart. Allow that heart resonance to come in. Allowing that scene that's still yet brings a smile to your face. Now just take a deep breath in and just sigh it out. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. This moment of stillness was brought to you by Adironda and Company and Marilyn and Joy.
Wasn't ready.
I know, I wasn't either.
I love going into the stillness.
So what are your first memories of being still, Joy?
Well, whenever I hear someone say be still, it instantly takes me back to being like, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 5, and my grandparents would pick us up and take us to Sunday to church. And we would always sit in the main sanctuary at first and sit with them until they took us to, until they came and released us to Sunday school. But we would sit with them, and I would always be sitting on my grandma's lap because there were 3 of us girls, and I was the wiggliest. I was the one who couldn't sit still, and my grandma would pick me up and put me on her lap, and she would always say, I can hear, every time you say be still, I hear my grandma, and she would say be still, like that. Be still, and so it has like kind of a mixed, because my grandma was one of my most favorite people on the planet, and and she, so in part, it has like a mixed meaning. In part, it brings me back to sitting in my grandma's lap, which is a really fond memory. And the other part of it is like, I'm going to get in trouble if I don't stop wiggling, So it's kind of a mixed thing,
I wonder if that's why when we talk about meditation, for many of us, because I had a similar reaction to be still. I was the wiggly, giggly, noisy one in church, and I was always doing something active and was told to be still. And I wonder if that's why in meditation, when we are asked to be still and breathe, why our chattery mind starts distracting us from everything that is different from stillness.
Well, I think you and I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I think that we might actually associate being still with being in trouble. You know what I mean? Like I know with my kids when they were little, we had time out. And time out was a moment to go and sit in the corner and stare at the wall and be quiet, And they always came out of it in a really good place, but I don't think now that I'm thinking about it, I ever sat them down and explained, well, if you go and stare at the wall and take your mind off everything and just kind of slow down your breath, that your whole world starts to become more peaceful, you feel more in control, more coherent. So I think that there's a lot of social nuances that are ingrained in us that we don't really think about, that are associated with that, be still, that stillness.
Yeah, I always we didn't have to sit in the corner and stare at the wall. We just had to sit on a chair and be still. We had to not speak, not wiggle around or anything, but be really still. And it was a form of punishment.
Yeah.
And
well, we never called it punishment. We said, take a time out. You need a time out. More like you need to take a pause in life right now and think about what's going on.
For us, it was a way of punishment, but we were told to think about what you just did and see if that was right. So it was a way of sort of thinking and analyzing what you were doing, kind of like it is now. Of course, I was thinking, how can I explain what I just did? But, now it's like, I love the stillness.
Yeah.
I love being still and sitting in silence. One of these days, I'm going to take another silent retreat, a stillness retreat. But, I'm so excited because we're getting ready to go into 3 events, almost back to back, that there's a space for stillness. One is Thailand, Awakening the Buddha Within. Obviously, that's about being still. Another is Cancun to celebrate Lee Carroll channeling Crown for 30 years,
and you for celebrating Adironda for 20 years.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, combined 50 years.
Yeah, and it's also about being able to sit on the beach and feel the movement of the ocean. And, just because you're being still doesn't mean that everything around you is accommodating that stillness, because there's a lot of movement and action in the ocean, but it still is that sort of repetitive space, that repetitive energy which brings you into the stillness of peace.
I also think that when you're in that still space, especially when you're out in nature, Gaia and the animals around you feel it. I could give many examples, but I remember one day I was meditating on the beach. It was a autumn fall day, kind of crisp, cool air, and I was meditating, looking out at the ocean, and when I opened my eyes, a dolphin jumped like straight up and twirled and came back down right where I was looking. And I remember thinking it knew that I was there. You know, like there was some connection that it was just a really special moment, you know? And I'm not sure that we as humans tune into it quite as much as animals do, maybe.
I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. I know, you know, when we were in Alaska a couple of years ago, and we're going to get that opportunity again in January to be in that immense nature. I mean, you know, it's like the tundra, snow and ice and mountains and beautiful scenery from as far as the eye can look with elk and moose and I don't know what all the wildlife is.
And do you remember being in the plane and looking out the window and there was not a person? You know, it was a small, like, you know, those two rows and an aisle down the middle planes, right? Or maybe it was one seat and two, you know, small, as you call, like a baby plane.
Toy plane.
And I remember looking out the window thinking that you could see the stillness.
Yeah.
You could see the silence.
Yeah. How does that feel for you to be able to see the silence? To let go of the old programs when somebody said, be still.
You know, that also reminds me of something Adironda says. They started saying it a couple years ago. They would say, see with your ears, taste with your fingers, smell with your eyes. In other words, use your senses in a different way.
Hear with your heart.
Yeah.
You know, and that really is about that energy of...
That's my phone. So much for the stillness.
You know, and that's the key, is to acknowledge the stillness anytime you can. So this week or this month, try your best.
Joy.
To joy. To sit in the stillness with joy. Sit in the stillness and let us know. Post it. What is it, on Facebook or on
you
our
can
page?
if you're on our website, which you should be, you can post a comment, I believe, right below this video. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can post a comment below. But you know, we love hearing from you all. We love knowing that it's like we're talking with you, you know, when you do that. So we would love to hear your comments.
Yeah, so just let us know how the stillness is affecting you now, and maybe, you know, what old programs you're ready to integrate when you were told to be still. And then we can just be still. Let's do it again. Take a deep breath. Breathe into harmony.